Welcome to Opening the Vault,
where we watch every Disney animated feature in chronological order.
Today, we're watching 101 Dalmatians.
Yes, 101 Dalmatians.
It's one of my favorites.
We've gone out of the fairy tale 50s and into the swinging 60s. I know I like this movie, but I don't know when the last time I watched it was.
I don't remember the last time I watched it either. I know I saw it. I know we had it on VHS when we were kids. I know I watched it all the time. And we had the little, Disney figures that we went to the Disney store and bought. And I know my mom took us to see this when they re-released it in the theaters. Let's do it.
Let's watch it. Woo!
We did it!
That's a great movie.
It is.
Just charming.
It's so cute. I love it.
It's entertaining. The pacing is great. It's charming. Even though there are 15 puppies that Pongo and Perdita have, they all have their own personality. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. What a great movie.
And it's hand-drawn.
Yes. So, one thing you'll note, we noticed that it's back in the Academy for 3 format, and the animation isn't as pretty, but
it's very cartoony.
Much more cartoony.
Less realistic.
Yeah. Well, part of that is due to the fact that Sleeping Beauty did not make money. And there was talk of shutting down the animation department because the live action was going strong. And this is 1961, so the studio is roaring. But Ub Iwerks, who's been with Disney for a long time, in charge of special processes on this movie, had been experimenting with Xerox. And so that's how they made this cheaply, because they could go from the hand sketches, Xerox, directly onto the cell instead of being inked. But the problem with that is it makes the rough sketches a bit more apparent, and the edges aren't so refined. And so you'll see it, and you're like, oh, it's a little bit not as clean, but you kind of get over it as a stylized choice. But also the movie's so charming that you just get sucked into it.
I don't know why, but this movie just feels very 60s London to me.
Yeah, right when the credits go, it has the most active credits of any Disney movie.
Best opening credits of any of the animated movies so far.
Yeah, it's still opening credits, so everything's at the beginning, but there's a lot of action. The dogs are there, they're barking, they're moving, they're going about. It's, before it's just been kind of title card.
Names, blah.
Yeah, this actually has action titles. It's very fun.
It's very cute.
And sets up the movie that, this is going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. Pongo's narration confused me when I was a kid. Because I thought it was... Because I'd never seen a movie that had, omnipotent talking dog.
Right.
So I thought it was Roger who was telling the story, but then he kept calling Roger my pet, and it took me a good 5 minutes to understand that Pongo was narrating the story.
Yeah, it's the gag at the beginning that you think Roger's narrating, but it's Pongo. It's very clever.
It is. It's very cute. It's very clever, and as an adult, I very much appreciate it. But when I was a little kid, I was like, wait, who's talking? I was 6, though. So
yeah, the dogs that look like their owners.
I love the dogs that look like their owners. It's so funny.
It's a great little gag, and you see, and those dogs repeat throughout. You see them all.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. Cruella comes in, is all crazy, and you immediately don't like her. Her smoke is green and acrid, and you're like, oh, this smoke. But Roger smokes a pipe all the time, but that's never given that negative connotation. So I found that very interesting. That late, in the 90s, any smoking cartoons was always bad. Yeah. But they somehow differentiated them using color and a sense of ooze with Cruella's versus Roger is just on the pipe and puffing away. It's really interesting and kind of funny.
And Cruella is another one of those villains that, while she's really kind of fun and over the top, and I understand why people like her as a villain, she's another one of those villains that's sort of just evil for the sake of being evil. We don't really know what drives her other than
her love of furs,
her obsession with fur. And they do say something about making coats later.
Yeah.
So I assume she's trying to make them to sell them.
Right.
But when I was a little kid, I always assumed she was just trying to make a big coat to wear.
Right, me too.
And then but as a kid, I was like, isn't that stupid? Because you'll walk around with a Dalmatian coat. Everyone will know you did it. Everyone will know you took the puppies.
Yeah. And then she kind of loses her mind and gets like the Toad Motor Mania kind of going on.
Yeah, Motor Mania eyes.
Yeah, and Roger is like, oh, it's your old flatmate.
No,
or
it's
your
your old
school chum.
Your school chum.
Yeah. And then he writes a song about her and he sells it.
He sells it to the radio.
It plays on the radio.
Which also leads me to think that she's someone of note in the movie.
Don't really go into the details, but it's kind of about the dogs and not the people, so that's okay.
I always loved when they were watching Thunder, the like
Western dog.
Western detective dog, sheriff dog, whatever he is.
The animators must have really watched like dog movement and puppies, because like the little tails and the way they up and move and climb up on things. It's really
cute.
great.
The Twilight Bark.
After the puppies are kidnapped and the humans have done all they can, the dogs go to the Twilight Bark.
The Twilight Bark. It's very serious. And I remember taking that so seriously as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It was a serious, big deal. So whenever I was out at night, at night when I would hear dogs barking, I'm like, oh, the Twilight Bark. Exactly,
just like
Lulu.
that.
Exactly.
When you watch it, you see a lot of other Disney dogs show up.
Yes. During the Twilight Bark, like, montage, if you will, Jock, the Scottish Terrier, makes a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
We see Peg and
the bulldog.
The bulldog, whose name I can't ever remember, from Lady and the Tramp. We see all three of them in different parts.
I think Lady is there, but in shadow.
Lady is there in shadow.
And Tramp might be too, but I didn't notice them.
I didn't notice Tramp, but I did notice Lady, but she's like a silhouette. My favorite part about the Twilight Bark is, one, it's all different dogs that are involved, and I do love that they all have different barks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not all just the standard rah 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 rah. Like, they don't all sound the same. Like, there's a big Great Dane, and he's like boo boo, like this huge bark, and it's great. I love it. And he has like a little friend who's some sort of terrier that's like this big, and he's I think he's supposed to be Scottish.
Maybe.
Or something, but he's just like, Daddy, what's up? Daddy, what's happening? Daddy. It's just so funny.
The Twilight Bark goes out into the country, and then we meet the Colonel, who's this crazy old sheepdog, and the Sergeant Tibbs, the cat.
Sergeant Tibbs, the little tabby cat.
And a horse that's named Captain. That's voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft, though he's not in his big deep. It just must be his normal speaking voice.
He's sort of bumbling and old and senile.
Kind of Dad's Army, World War II type of like British old guard.
With the big mustache.
Yeah. Gets things wrong all the time, and the sergeant has to kind of like tell him the right thing to do. It's a very classic British comedy style. Blackadder does it. And Jasper and Horace, they're watching a show about like what's my crime, and
what's my crime? Well, it's a play on words of what's my line. That was a joke I didn't get as a kid.
And then Flowers and Trees is on the screen.
That's right. They did watch Flowers and Trees at one point.
Puppies are watching Flowers and Trees, which is like kind of meta again, but also money saving. Might as well use an older cartoon that you happen to
have
own.
The rights to.
The puppies escape, and Pongo and Petita are there, and then it gets like very dramatic in the music and the snow, and
they're walking through a blizzard, and all the puppies are like,
they're all freezing and sad. And then I was like very worried. I was like, man, how do they get back to London? And then this collie shows up, and I'm like flooded with relief. I'm like, oh, thank God for this collie. It gets
How many times did you see this as a kid?
I mean, I know they got back. I just didn't remember. I was like very invested. Labrador moment's really funny, where they all coat themselves in
the
soot, and at first the Labrador looks like he's just animated like a Dalmatian.
He does, but then when he actually gets a close up, you can see the difference in animation between the Dalmatians and the Labrador, so I thought that was nice.
When the movie came out, Walt wasn't very happy with the look of it, the Xerox process, which save them a ton of money and save the studio, essentially, again, the animation section. Walt was displeased. So the art director, Ken Anderson, felt really bad that Walt was displeased because he really wanted to impress him, and he felt like he let him down. But then before Walt passed, one of the last times Walt was in the studio, Ken said that Walt came up to him and he said, that thing you did with the Dalmatians. He said he didn't finish the sentence, but the look that he got from Walt said that, all was forgiven. 101 Dalmatians, while maybe not the most beautifully animated, more than makes up for it in charm and character and entertainment. This is a great one. Definitely in top 10, if not top 5 for me.
Oh, yeah.
This week, something a little special. We have this nice print from Disney Vacation Club that Lila just wants to smell. It's got Huey, Dewey, Louie, Donald, Daisy, Mickey, and Minnie. They're going on vacation. This can be yours. You can win this. If you get 10 friends to subscribe to the channel, and then they just send a message to us that says you sent them to subscribe and they subscribed. So the first person that gets 10, you'll get this. We'll mail it to you.
We will.
So you get 10. Your 10 friends say, hey, this one person sent us. Then we'll contact you and send this in the mail. You can win it for free, just for you. 10 subscribers. Get us 10 more. Whoever gets the 10 first wins. So, hey, you should click that subscribe button over there.
You should. Click it.
Click it. Click the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel to get updates.
Lilu says subscribe.
She says subscribe. There's our Facebook. We put silly things and extra videos and all sorts of stuff over there. Instagram, Twitter.
How many Dalmatians do you want? Let us know.
Next week, we're going to be watching The Sword and the Stone.
Sword and the Stone.
That's one I know really well.
That's another one that I know I saw a lot as a kid, but I don't remember the last time I watched it. So, looking forward to it.
It's going to be great.
Yay!
And as they say at the Disney parks, have a magical day.